Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Bilo. I'm a meteorologist here with the National Weather Service office in Grand Junction, Colorado, and this is your January 2025 monthly climate summary. And those of you who have been following me for a while know new year, new color scheme. So I hope you enjoy. Moving right along into our story of the month, we have an Arctic air outbreak. So the coldest temperatures of the season occurred during the middle of January as a burst of Arctic air plunged southward into the U.S. Areas east of here, particularly into the Great Plains in the Northeast, saw significantly colder temperatures than we did here. We really only just got clipped by it, but we still saw some brutally cold temperatures here. Our morning lows were often below zero, and the afternoon highs ran as close to 20 degrees below normal. Wind chills were particularly brutal, as shown in this graphic here, with some spots getting close to -50. Several cold weather highlights were issued during this period, particularly for the mountains and higher elevation valleys. And those cold weather highlights are a relatively new product that have come out this year as part of our hazard simplification project, where we took things like wind chill warnings and other cold temperature highlights, combined them into one, so we had cold weather advisory and extreme cold warning, both of which got issued as part of this event. So the ambient air temperatures were cold enough, with places like Gunnison and Craig into the lower -30s, close to -40. Most locations having lows below zero. Really only the lower desert valleys, the Grand Valley out towards Moab and then down through southeast Utah, saw temperatures that didn't hit zero, but they were still in single digits. And the wind chills, when temperatures are this cold, it doesn't take that much wind to cause a particularly brutal wind chill. And we were seeing readings of almost -50 in Gunnison, Steamboat Springs, almost -60 in Craig. So definitely this was an extremely cold period, not something that we're used to, as we've had a fairly mild winter thus far. Not record-setting, but definitely unusual. And it definitely made it feel like winter properly for a little while. So moving right along into our temperatures, the warmest high of the month was 54 degrees, which occurred at both Cortez and Grand Junction. In Cortez it occurred on the 3rd and Grand Junction on the 31st, and our coldest, warmest high was 42 degrees, which occurred in Craig on the 3rd. And as you can see from the distribution of these dates, the beginning of January and the end of January tended to be warmer, which makes sense because the middle of January was cold. So our warmest low was 5 degrees, and that occurred in Grand Junction on the 21st and the 22nd, and our coldest low was -25, and that occurred in Craig on the 20th. And this is not counting wind chill or anything, this is just straight temperatures. Moving into precipitation, the month of January may have been cold, but it was also pretty dry. All 10 of our climate sites ended the month with below normal precipitation totals. The most precipitation fell in Meeker, where they ended the month with 0.44 inches of precipitation, which was over 0.6 of an inch below normal. The least precipitation fell over in eastern Utah, with both Canyonlands and Vernal airports coming in with just a trace as the monthly total. For Canyonlands, this was 0.45 below normal, and for Vernal, this was almost 0.6 of an inch below normal. The greatest departure that we saw was actually in Durango, where their monthly total of 0.13 was over an inch below normal. So definitely not the best month precipitation-wise, particularly for the lower elevations. The higher elevations did a little bit better, but as you'll see by the snowpack maps, not as great as we maybe would have liked. Moving into our drought summary and outlook, we've definitely seen an expansion of drought across eastern Utah and western Colorado. Abnormally dry conditions, so D0, this yellow color, has for the most part filled in, with the exceptions being the central and northern mountains, where we have seen enough snow to keep things ticking over. We've seen an expansion of D1 moderate drought across southwest Colorado, southeast Utah, and that pocket up to the north in northeast Utah, northwest Colorado. We have also seen the emergence of D2 severe drought just creeping in from our southeast. So unless we see some more precipitation in the month of February, we are looking at starting the year pretty droughty, and that's not a great sign. Looking into our outlook, this definitely emulates something of a La Nina pattern, where they're favoring drought removal across the north, but drought persistence or redevelopment across the south, which coincides with typically in a La Nina pattern, the northern mountains and northern valleys see more precipitation than the southern mountains and the southern valleys. But we are, as I'm recording this, on the cusp of a fairly strong AR, atmospheric river-fueled winter storm that is actually going to bring widespread significant precipitation and particularly favor the southern mountains. So we'll see if we can get a couple of those, then we may be able to turn some of this around. But and the month of March is actually our snowiest month on average, so there's still some winter left to go. We could definitely see some significant changes from here on out. Moving into our snowpack, again, this is definitely highlighting something of a La Nina pattern, with our northern basins doing the best and our southern basins starting to suffer. The Yampa White Mule Snake and Colorado Headwaters basins are both sitting at 85 to 95% of normal, close to normal, a little bit below normal. It'd be nicer to see this closer to 100%, but we'll take it. The Gunnison Basin is sitting at 85 to 95% of normal, so we're starting to look a little iffy here. And then the San Miguel, Dolores, Animas, and San Juan basins are at 78% of normal, so definitely starting to see the southern mountains suffering a little bit from this lack of snow to the south. Moving into eastern Utah, the northeastern Uinta is doing pretty good, 99% of normal. That's basically normal for this time of year. The Duchesne Basin showing that, 80 to 90% of normal, so definitely below normal, but nothing too crazy yet. Unfortunately, southeastern Utah, this basin is doing the worst right now, and that's because a lot of this basin is lower terrain that relies on, snow, but also rain, which we've seen neither of. And the higher terrain that we do have, the La Salles, the Abajos, parts of the Tavaputs, have not seen that much snowfall compared to some of the basins in western Colorado. So hopefully with some of these systems we're seeing going forward, we'll see this improve significantly. But it all stands to chance. Moving into our summary for the predictions for the month of February, per the Climate Prediction Center, they are favoring a slight tendency towards above normal temperatures across the southern half of the area. So that's like a 35 to 40% chance of above normal temperatures versus equal chances of above or below normal temperatures to the north. And we are actually looking at equal chances of above or below normal precipitation across pretty much the whole area. So could be worse. We could be looking at a significant signal for below normal precipitation, and that would definitely mean that we'd start seeing some more drought development. There is also a very slight tendency right here on our border, essentially in northeastern Utah, towards some above normal precipitation. And that's that for the month of January. I hope you enjoyed, and definitely stay tuned. Next month you'll get not only a monthly summary, but you'll get the seasonal summary for winter, so December, January, February. And that will also have a new color scheme. Have a good one, everybody.